Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We called an audible. Our Salesforce speaker, Vaughn, woke up sick today. So Zachary Macht has graciously accepted to take his place. We are going to bring some of the data points that Vaughn shared with us in earlier to the discussion, but for now we're going to really focus on the presentation that Zach gave. Zach gave us his background, but Rajesh, would you like to just give us a quick overview of your experience?
Sure. My name is Rajesh Misra. First thing, light is too bright on my face, so I can barely see you guys. My background is quality and regulatory. I've been doing it for 30 years or so. I lead KPMG's Q&R practice. Of late, we are seeing last 5 years or so much of transformation happening in quality, regulatory, manufacturing, and that's driven by AI. So I don't want you all to get scared of what you just heard about AI. I do think it's an extremely exciting opportunity for all of us. How to figure it out, that what makes sense. But that's what we're going to talk more about. But my background is mostly on the FDA side of it, quality, regulatory, manufacturing.
And Zach, if you can give us your background.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm the CRO of Propel. My background, 25 plus years working with quality and R&D folks across medtech, manufacturing, and high tech. So I've worked with most of the business applications, PLMs, QMS, and others. So I have a different perspective from a business outcome and what customers could really drive from a benefit perspective.
Excellent. Well, let's start with the human in the loop. We heard that earlier this morning from Ross and from Kevin Prendeville, and then Zach brought it up again today. So Rajesh, let's move over to you. I do want to chat a little bit about the human in the loop and how that's going to evolve. Is it a myth? Is it going to ultimately, I guess, how does the human in the loop evolve from here? Because it is a question. We do have a lot of humans that are working on this, and what should they be prepared for?
I mean, if you look at today and FDA's warning letter, they got into trouble because they didn't have human in the loop. So it's a matter of time, as and when these technologies mature, we'll be in a better position. But today, human need to be in the loop. I mean, think of this company was doing manufacturing, and they made the argument to FDA. This was a process validation before releasing the product. In the process validation, they said that we didn't do process validation before releasing the product. Inspector asked them, why you didn't do that? They said, agent didn't tell me. So that is where the process is broken. That's why I think for those kind of things, AI is not mature enough to give you that exactly same thing that you need to do a process validation. Maybe it's a training problem, maybe something else. But a human should have caught that problem. But if you fast forward next 10 years, 15 years, probably, yes, human in the loop problem will come back again, because how much human, today we have done this work manually, we know. But after 5 years, if I'm doing all the AI work, we will lose that, the critical thinking. We may not know what is right, what is wrong, and we'll think and trust AI is doing the right thing. So it's just a matter of time, but for now, from all compliance perspective, we do need to have a second oversight. Someone has to take a look at it and confirm that it's right. Because AI is still maturing. I mean, I was surprised that the AI agent didn't tell them that they needed to validate the process. And that was only one example. There's a bunch of other things as well that came up. So I think the short answer is yes, we need to have a human in the loop today. Long term, probably we need to think of, is it going to be effective, or we are going to have other problems?
And then Zach, you talked to quite a few customers that are struggling with this. What do you see from them?
I mean, I think the particular warning letter is probably a leading indicator what's to come. I mean, FDA has been talking about AI for 2 years now, I think. And now they want to make sure that the device manufacturers are using AI and AI outputs with the same rigor they've done in the past, right? So what I see customers doing bolt-ons or pilots outside the QMS, and expectation is FDA is that it should be logged, tracked like any other steps that you do in QMS, so that when there's an audit, you can answer the question, who did it, what was approved, what information they had. And I think that's one of the challenges right now. It is coming, and it's going to be full scale.
So you have a lot of QA and RA people in the audience.
Yeah. My favorite people.
Your favorite people, okay. My favorite people too.
Nothing against engineering folks. I'm an engineer myself, but okay.
Hence why QA, RA people are my favorite people. But that's different, Zach. So the one thing I want to say, if you are responsible for regulatory and compliance, does AI, like, is it going to cause more issues? Is everybody in this room ultimately going to be getting warning letters from the FDA and that's just going to be normal and we're going to accept it? Or is it going to create so many more benefits that it's going to reduce the regulatory overhead for them? I'll start with you, Zach.
Okay, sure. I think I was going to speak to what I was saying earlier, is that it'll come down to visibility by design, right? So AI, you can't have AI after your core QMS processes, right? And what has been happening is that people are running pilots and projects, and if you're not connected to your QMS and not logging and tracing for traceability, that is going to create problem, right? So I think the idea will be to really look at your processes. It's not a workflow only. A lot of people are doing workflow enablement on AI. It's more than that. Any output from AI should be same as if you're writing SOP manually, right? So those things needs to be in sync so that when the FDA walks in your door, you can be able to show the traceability real time, right?
Rajesh, anything to add?
I mean, first thing is that if all of you have read the warning letter or not read the warning letter, if you have not, go and read it. It's really, really good synopsis of what is coming down the line. So to answer your question, I don't think that everybody will be getting that kind of warning letter. That was so basic. And it tells me more about that probably they missed the very basic fundamentals. Maybe it's a small company, a lot of those things that you can read yourself. So I don't think that everyone is going to get scared off and get a warning letter. As long as you understand the basics of CGMP and what exactly, how to do manufacturing, what are the guardrails, how do we validate. So those fundamentals doesn't change. We still have to do those basic things that we can manufacture a product that's secure and safe and not contaminated and not going to create a problem for a patient or somebody else. So as long as we don't do that, I think we are in a good place. I don't think that you will get a warning letter. But I would caution a few things on the AI side of it. How many of you heard about ISO put together an AI management system standards? If you are seriously working with AI, get a certification. It'll give you the ethical policy, procedures, what we need to do, how we need to do it, what are those guardrails, and also if you are a CDMO, if you are a CMO, if you're manufacturing for someone else, that gives a lot of confidence to your customer as well. This is a third-party certification. You can get it. You have to demonstrate that you're using ethical AI. You're using the data. You're using the information in an ethical way, and you're not making those kind of judgment calls that people make and get into trouble. So having that certification gives a lot of confidence. Make sure that you have a policy, procedures in place to how to use AI in a right way. It is still a very powerful tool, but if you don't know how to use it, we are going to create some problems too. So our feedback is consider those certifications, put together a good policy, good procedure in place. That way you can use it effectively and make sure that you can minimize the risk. But that's probably, I would highlight those things, yeah.
Excellent. Zach, anything to add to that? Or?
Yeah, I'll just add, it's a two-sided coin, right? I think everything Rajesh and Zach mentioned is, holds true, but I'm sure, sitting in your shoes, there's a lot of pressure from your organizations to implement AI right now. And everybody is dedicating portions of their budget within their organizations to actually go and do something and get the value out of it immediately. And so it's a challenge, and there's no silver bullet answer, but finding the right risk approach and designing the system in a way where you actually have the controls in place to feel confident that you can move forward with these use cases and gain the business value and benefit from these technologies as an enabler is really kind of where we should be targeting as the sweet spot.
So Zach, I want to build on that. You also mentioned that basically the regulators are going to move at a slower pace than the AI itself. And I think we all understand that. But what are the concrete steps, if you're in the audience, that you should be doing with regard to your AI strategy? Like, what should they be doing over the next 6 months, and what should they be expecting down the road?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think starting with the overall governance framework, policy, procedures. I mean, I think it's a very basic, simple answer, but you have to set the parameters and guardrails for your quality system of what you are and are not going to do and how you're going to maintain and demonstrate control in a compliant environment. With that, I would say, a couple of the speakers earlier were talking about, a little bit of go slow to go fast, right? So focusing more on trying to find the right business benefit use cases that you can pilot in kind of a safe way to test it out and understand the power of the tool and how it can bring benefits to your organization, starting small to feel good about it is certainly a practical next step. But there's no definitive answers out there from the regulators. There's some guidance documents that can be referenced. But the best way to learn is going to be the practical application within your own business environments and doing it in a safe and compliant way.
Rajesh, anything to add?
I mean, I would say a few things, and kind of you can think your own strategy as well. Think big. Oftentimes when we are working with a lot of clients, we see basic things. I mean, probably all of us have seen enough of AIs to believe that it can do a lot of things. But having a very strong, bold business case that can transform is still not there that much. So yes, there are guardrails and all that stuff. We can all be scared of what it can do wrong and all that, but let's start with a good business case that you think this will make an impact to my business, I can transform my business. Let's not go and ask for incremental change. Oftentimes, we are just looking at incremental change. We talk about, hey, can we translate it? Can we summarize it? Can we create a document for this? We are not looking for the bigger problem. So let's start with the bigger problem that you want to solve that can transform the business. We are seeing some companies are now pushing hard on big picture transformation, not just incrementals. So it's not about, oh, can I say 5%, 10% here and there? It's much about bigger transformations. So we have seen companies are taking 20%, 30% bottom line impact or top line impact and using AI technology. So somehow we do need to change the conversation on, and you can work with your own business stakeholders and all that stuff that come up with a big picture transformation that you're looking for. Don't go for small things because a lot of people are trying small things and then more than 80%, 90% those programs doesn't go anywhere. They do the POC, they feel happy, they feel good. But after that, nobody implements anything. It just leave it. So my suggestion is that go big, come up with the big ideas that can transform the business, not look for some basic things. I mean, everyone is trying Copilot. I mean, we do it every day. But let's do the big things here.
Zach, how about?
I think this reminds me AI journey, like what happened to cloud. So I spent some time at AWS a while ago, and it was an easy sell, right? Everybody was jumping on a cloud. What surprised the CIOs and CFOs later, when a lot of stuff moved to the cloud, the amount of money they were spending on consumption. I remember getting calls from customer about like, why is this big, right? So coming back to AI, it's the token part of it, right? So people are not estimating like how big this can become in terms of cost to you as a company. So you need to have that big, but also work with your partners to understand how much it's going to cost, and you really need a business case for your CFO to sign off from a cost of capital perspective, right? So if you just do pilot and roll it out and suddenly like, whoa, this is what we expect, it's going to be trouble. So I think you should remember that long-term investment.
Yeah, that's an important one. Don't surprise your CFO.
No,
Ever.
I don't.
All right, I want to build on one of the concepts, Rajesh, said. You said go big. And Zach, we recently had a prospect who came to us and said that he wanted to transform quality from a shield to a weapon. And he felt that bringing AI and the product record into the quality processes was the way to make quality just a much more aggressive and a different type of function. So I think that's a great example of going big. We don't want to disclose who the prospect is or too many details, but I think it is a great example about thinking differently and thinking about how AI can really evolve a process and a role. So I'd love if you could just give us a little bit more of your thoughts in terms of how you've approached what we can do on this front.
Yeah, so coming back to like what we said earlier, I think is important around governance and costs and all that. But what I've been hearing from customers, a lot of the use cases or AI are around where it's very document heavy, the decision criteria are pretty clear, and a lot of humans are involved to make the decision. So example would be CAPA, non-conformance, supplier quality, things like that. So that's an area I'm seeing customers are looking at complaint resolution, what that means, because people who are in the medtech know how difficult that problem is, just to kind of triage it. So AI is really good at triaging. But again, going back to human point, that somebody has to review and say this is an adverse event or this is a bug, right? So that's one in. I think the other area that has not talked a lot about is the post-market surveillance part of it. So there's a lot of data. I've lived through the IoT days, and there was never lack of data. The problem is how do you analyze and read signals around complaints so that I can see in less than 12 months that it can actually automatically trigger a design review in a product based on the signal in the market of a specific product, right? So those are things that you will see the outcome base where think about if you can be ahead of the market and say, hey, this product, I'm getting all these complaints, we should open a CAPA and look at it, or whatever that process may be.
Rajesh, anything to add?
I mean, going big again, it's like looking at the bigger problems. So one client that we're working with, they are a drug manufacturer, or it's true for anyone who is even CMOs and all that stuff. The batch release is a very common problem that we have seen every time, and it takes time.
Yeah.
So batch release for a biologics could take me a week to release it, maybe take 10 days to release it. Sometime some of the other drugs could take 2 weeks to release it. Sometimes it's faster, but depending on how do you do that, industry average is 7 to 10 days to release a batch. Now think of if I can release the batch in real time, how much saving it will drive, how much sooner I can get the drugs to a patient. And if you're working in a biologics, how fast I can go to the patients, how much revenue I can realize faster. Those are the big things. Changing from 2 weeks batch release to real-time batch release. It's a concept that's being debated in the industry and how fast we can do that. And agency has been pretty open for that as well. Looks like this is the emergency alarm going off. Yeah. So we are seeing that kind of impact that could make a big difference. Same thing if I say that a lot of companies you see that the post-market they have to do a product recall. Oftentimes they don't know where my product is because it's in ether somewhere in the world that I distributed my product. It went through 6, 7, 8 different channels. What if I can use the data analysis and other AI tools to pinpoint where my product is and recall the product in a more real time? So if I have to make a correction, I know I have a 1 million product in the globe, where it is, even if it's a software product, I want to go and update those softwares. It is a simple thing, but believe me, it takes months. Sometimes it took years for the companies to go figure it out where my product is. And you can read it, there's a lot of public database information available for these things. If I can do it faster, I can absolutely impact the patient. Maybe it's a product that needs to be fixed and I don't know, and somebody's using it, and somebody could get hurt. So think through those big impacts that impacts the patient, impacts my customers, impacts obviously the financial compliance and all that stuff as well. Those are the big ideas that we can drive. We are seeing a lot of work in the, and it more on the drug side of it. How do you do clinical trials and research part of it and use of AI in that area as well? So there are so many use cases. I do feel that R&D is a little bit more advanced in adopting AI, if you look at life sciences, than the operations. Operations are still a bit behind, but it is coming. And R&D has adopted much faster than we were expecting. There's so much of, probably you may have seen this. Lilly signed a contract with a AI-based drug discovery company based in Taiwan. It's like some $200 million, plus they also have a $1 billion down the line as well. And they have 21 different molecules discovered by AI in clinical trials. So those are the big things. That will drive change in the industry, that will drive change in the drugs that we can bring faster in the market and help patients as well. So those are the big things that we can think of. Yeah.
It's great. Zach, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'll go a slightly different direction. Come back to what Zack Jha was talking about. I think the focus from the agency and the FDA around total product lifecycle and thinking about how you can enable your post-market data to feed back into your design decisions, how you're choosing your suppliers, if you need to go execute a SCAR, and thinking about using AI and some of the stuff we saw earlier today from what Propel is even going to give you access to. Like, imagine a world where your management reviews are not just going through volumes and key statistics of how many CAPAs you have open, but rather you're getting data signals from your artificial intelligence solution, whatever it may be, leveraging the data from Propel to actually trigger and signal to you that you actually have a trending risk on this product caused by this manufacturer that you need to go address. And you're talking about outcomes as opposed to just historical information that's happened. You're being proactive around managing risk. And so when I think about the question, the concept of the shield versus the spear and going on the offensive, I think driving that from the feedback loop of the total product lifecycle and using that as an enabler with your management teams in a quality space could be a starting point to really get the benefit of what AI has to offer.
Yeah, please.
So I think, 2 points I wanted to make was on the contract manufacturing or CDMO, it makes more complicated. Nobody manufactures anything anymore, most of the customers. So if you think about the OEMs and the CDMOs, the contract manufacturer, and the suppliers, that whole value chain is so complex. And now you introduce AI, just think about the complexity to deal with. So as you kind of think about the big ideas, you also have to think about how it's going to impact your supply chain around that, right? Like how you're going to, just you having AI is a good thing, but how you're going to drive the overall. I think the other part will be, how do you leverage AI to really, think about this. If you can get supplier signals real time about quality issues or end of life or whatever you're looking at, you can really reduce your change impact or change cost out processes sooner, right? So think about, I think it was Eric who had showed, there's a DARPA slide, very famous slide, old slide around when the cost gets locked in, it's very early in the process. And as you go through the design and closer to manufacturing, if you want to change it, it's very expensive. So I think having those signals in the design side is super important from a TCO perspective of the product and margins and things like that.
Yeah, that's good. Excellent. So I want to switch gears. A lot of great opportunity, a lot of great potential. What about the flip side? What are the things that work today well that AI is going to break, or areas where people are trying to get AI to work that you think you've got a healthy dose of skepticism? It may not work. Rajesh, I'll start with you on this one.
The one thing I want to highlight is that if you are a CDMO or a CMO and you're manufacturing for someone else, or you're a supplier, disclose to your customer that you're using AI. We have seen that and that was also in the warning letter too, that it has to be disclosed because your customer need to know that you're using AI. We will see more in quality agreements or supplier agreements that you have. They will insist on putting it. And then that means that I need to validate it, I need to confirm all of those things. So think of the normal way of doing things will not work in the new environment where AI is getting more common. So that's a lot of time then we can think of, hey, this is just for internal, I'm not doing anything in the manufacturing, so I can just do it. But anytime we are using AI, even in my business, right, if we do something with AI, we have to disclose it. that we create. And probably you see that if you look at ChatGPT and all that, they will put a disclaimer there that this was generated by AI. So be careful, be cautious, and all that stuff. So I think that's the one part we need to start thinking of, that we should disclose it. And we should be very skeptical about just to confirm, validate, verify, and all that, yeah.
It's great insight. Zach, anything to add to that? Good, Zach Macht.
No,
The other Zach.
I'll go in a slightly different direction. I think with the new QMSR that came out and this evolution of applying risk management frameworks into your quality event decision making, that we've seen a lot of great use cases in your complaint handling and field corrective actions as part of your non-conformances. But these use cases are doing a lot of auto text summarization, translations, making recommendations for a decision outcome. When you think about when the agency is going to start asking you, well, how did you apply your risk profile into this? How are you thinking about severity, frequency, your human factors, your hazards? I don't know that a lot of the use cases out there are addressing that as a problem today. And so I think that there's a balance of opportunity to keep evolving the good use cases that we've seen work well, taking the signals from the agency around what they're going to be looking for next as part of their audits and frameworks, and how do we continue to evolve and make the next iteration or generation of some of these tools. But applying your humans in command to make sure that you're addressing what the agency is looking for in the interim. So finding that balance, right? There's good things, but control the risk.
Zach, anything to add?
I think just one of the things I've been talking to a lot of medtech customers around internal audits. It is a pain in the bee, right? And the amount of time and days and documentation people have to go 3-4 times a year. I think there's a big opportunity of AI that I've been talking to customer about. And since I'm the CRO of Propel, I'll put in Propel in there. We have stage gate defined where you can create your own internal audit processes with all the documents required and run that very remotely. You literally don't have to fly into your corporate office, but also think about as you go through several iteration, you can leverage AI to look at efficiency that you can drive in your internal audits, right? Because now people do things because that's how it was done. I think that's the easy. The other part coming, what can happen, in my previous life, I know for sure that FDA has hired experts in tools, right? So Jira, GitHub, these are they can dive in. So the old days was when you locked the FDA in the corner room with no windows in there and think things will work out. That's not how it works now. They will bring experts who know your Jira stuff inside out, and they will dive in. So will be AI. So I think we should remember that FDA is also getting smarter in terms of how they're going to audit you. It's just not what you tell them. They will like to see themselves. So just think that just because AI is there, that FDA is just going to give you a pass, right? So.
One morning, Jeannie from Bragg yesterday told us that when you have an audit, you don't want to give the auditors the information too quickly because they'll just find other stuff to ask.
Oh, yeah.
So even if you can do it. Maybe
that's why you put a corner room with no windows, so they don't know what time of the day it is, right?
All right, so with Vaughn, we lost a little bit of, he was going to go into, go, please.
Just a real quick point on this. To your point, and don't give auditors. Now, with AI, this is what is changing. Now, if you look at it, they are asking for pre-audit, or they're doing now, there's a new program just launched for one-day audit. So they will do surveillance audit for 1 day, that's pretty much it, and if nothing is there, then they will just go after a day. But they are also using AI to prepare for the audit, which is what they are not going to rely on you that much to give the information, because they probably have access to the information that they're going to ask you. They're going to ask very pointed questions about the specific things they're looking for. So we are seeing a change in the audit, and they have put out a new guidance document for the audit itself under QMSR. So if you've not read it, you can read it. It's very clear how they want to audit now. But most of the time, AI is helping them to get the information directly before they ask you. So in my mind, it's getting much more complicated for that side of it. That's why they're able to do faster. They're saying that I can do in 1 day. It used to be 5 to 6 days audit, or maybe 3-day audit minimum. Now it's a 1 day, and that get extended from more than 1 day to others as well. So I think that's the one part for us to all figure it out. The second thing is, to your previous question of, we have a lot of work we do within manufacturing and QC and quality units and controls and all that stuff. That's very basic. And I was talking to a good friend. He runs manufacturing, and his first take was that we will not find these workers in the next generation. It is very hard to say that I'm going to find someone who is going to stand in a manufacturing line for 8 hours a day and sign a bunch of papers. It's maybe we have resources now and individuals now who are doing it, but down the line, 5 years, 10 years, when they retire, the new workforce may not be willing to do that type of work. So work itself is going to shift in a much more intelligent way, so that all the kids who are coming out of college and in the new workforce, they're not going to like to do these kind of things. We have to also think of how the work is evolving, how the workforce is evolving, because everyone is now using iPhones and other AI chatbots and all that stuff, so the information is much more easily accessible to them. They are not going to do the work. So as a manufacturing companies or anyone working in CMO, CDMO and all that, we need to start thinking of what is the manual work that is so basic that I'm just checking the box and I'm just standing in the line and looking. I can use an inspection system to do that, not have a manual inspected. I don't need someone to sign off on everything. I can use AI to give me an exception-based sign-off than exception-based review than the normal review. So I think there are more of those things are going to come, and we need to be prepared for that.
Go ahead.
I think what he was saying on the audit, so my last job, I was focused on IEC 62304, so if you're doing software stuff, you understand that. And FDA, I think 2 years ago maybe now, they did the PCCP, the pre-configured change program, where you can get approved your changes beforehand to release product and not go for filing and that, right? And there's a lot of constraints around there. But I think that's also coming to hardware as well. I think it is included, but initially it was a lot of AI because companies like Heartflows or some other companies are completely built on AI. So you should look at, as an organization, are you leveraging PCCP? Because it's a really good program that I'm not sure how many people are looking at it, because then you combine your regulatory tools that's available to you, PCCP and others, with AI, and that's going to make your life much, much easier. I mean, if I were running a medtech company, I would use AI to figure out what products can I use PCCP for, right? There's a whole lot of analysis you need to do. So there's opportunities are right there, but you have to find the right one to make sure it's having a business impact.
Yeah. Good. Did you have more? Okay, all right.
That was good.
So last question. We lost a little bit with Vaughn. He was going to talk a little bit more about field service and how AI is transforming the post-sales process and that interaction. He did share a case study, though, where he talked about customer satisfaction scores went up 20 points once AI was introduced, and this was due to greater responsiveness, 24/7 availability, greater availability of detailed product information that could be shared with field technicians. So, outside of just the regulatory side of the business, which we've gone deep, given your experiences, what are your thoughts on how AI is going to be transforming not just the regulatory landscape, but just product development and that post-sales process? I'll start with you, Zach. Yeah.
So I will use an example. My Verizon guy coming, fixing my Fios machine, and every time he came, he didn't have the right part, right? And I think it's true with every industry, especially something like people are making big X-ray machines. So I will say last 10 years or so, there was a lot of IoT hype, or some of them happened around how do you gather data from these field instruments and send it back to the companies and look at that. So that the person who's going to fix the unit knows what the problem is and have the right parts. But the other thing will be now you can look at the failure rates or the failures that's happening and use AI to really start modeling your products and say, where are my weak points? Where can it fail? And proactively go and maybe replace them, right? So it's like moving the cost out. And one of the terms you may have heard is called audibility by design, right? So it's the AI should be built in not just in QA/RA, but R&D and field service, even sales teams, right? Sales teams are doing complaints and getting things. How do you bring your CPQ process into your QMS, and R&D is important, right? So that's kind of what I think it'll be a little bit further away, but that's where it's going to go.
Rajesh?
I mean, I think in the field tech is getting extremely, extremely important and common as well. I mean, to your point, my Verizon, they just shipped me the router and self-installed it, right? So they knew what...
My guys was not good, so okay.
Yeah. So the intent is that we are seeing much more shift on, even for the heavy equipment manufacturers, more preventive maintenance driven by AI. They know if they're sending a technician, what potential parts that person need to have, so repair the device or repair the product. Much more self-service, so it's like a lot of my car is always updating because they just push it out. So a lot of those things we are seeing that AI is helping to figure it out. Preventive maintenance, what is broken, what could break, how do I proactively make sure that my service technicians are. Even, I mean, I used to do a lot of work in the transportation routing kind of thing. Like AI, how do I route the service technician? How do I get your job lined up? So I can estimate that you're going to take 2 hours here, 3 hours here, 4 hours here, and I can send you a proper routing. So some of those basic things are happening and happening much faster than we're thinking. Nobody's doing any programming. They have this AI systems that's picking up these kind of things. So obviously, all of you are seeing that on any customer interactions. Most of the places are, sometimes it's annoying, but it's AI that's talking to you. We have internally within KPMG, we have built so much of AI tools that if I have a question, if I need to find a document, we just ask the question that, hey, where can I find this document? And it'll give me the link for where the document is. So all of those things that we had a call center, now we eliminated it. I mean, initially I used to call for my password need to be reset or something else and something is missing. Now I don't do any of those things. We have our own AI that does all these. You can interact, you can chat, so it will provide me the guidance too. So I think it's coming much more across the board in everything that we are trying to do, be it manufacturing or in services or in any other hospitality sector as well. Yeah.
Great. And Zach, I'll give you the final word on this.
Yeah. I think for many of you QA/RA people out there who deal with field service reps who don't always timely give you back inputs from what's going out in the field, and I think about the complaint handling process, I think we saw an amazing example even from Propel, and I feel like I should get some royalties at the end of this, hyping you guys up.
I'll take you for a drink, no worries.
There you go. No, I mean, the Slack integration that we saw in the demo this morning, right? Think about how powerful that is for the field reps being out there. You have an agent that, they can just type in their event summary and it automatically feeds into your QMS and triggers a complaint review. Like, that is super powerful stuff. So not only you're getting the benefit of the customer satisfaction, but then you're also increasing the rigor of your compliance posture with all these disparate intake systems that, feed into your complaint handling process. So I think that was really powerful and something that's very available and attainable at your fingertips right now.
Great. Well, we appreciate the shout out on that front. Zach, Rajesh, Zach.
And one thing before.
Please, couldn't let him have the last word. Okay.
What I will say that we haven't talked here collectively is cybersecurity, right? So in my previous 62304, that's a big problem. As FDA has SBOM and all that stuff, we're very familiar. I think companies, medtech and others, should be also looking at their cybersecurity posture and their planning, because if somebody backdoor comes in, your AI in trouble. We haven't seen a lot of that, but it's coming, right? I mean, I think these guys are sitting around, no. They know AI where the money is. So I think as you kind of go through your processes, make sure your cybersecurity team are involved and have done some due diligence, because you don't want to be exposed with customer data, especially, right, on the complaint side. And you don't want the entire your complaints showing up on some website. So that's another thing I think we should be, we talk about it, but something super important.
I mean, to that point, cyber is super important for anyone in devices or medical devices or SAMD and all that. Now in your 510K, they've added a section. So you have to put together your cyber plan. In the inspection, if you look at the inspection guidance document, that is a question as well. So now it is a baseline expectation. It is assumed that your device is subject to cyber breach, and it is a critical issue as well because it can breach the hospital environment. So if you are manufacturing a medical device and has any component, then they are looking at the cyber, they're looking for your cyber security protocols and what you have done and testing and all that stuff, and how are you going to protect yourself as well as the network. So it's no longer, I need to kind of optional, it is required. They won't approve your product if you don't have it. And if they're inspecting it, they're going to look at it. So I think it's extremely important for us to consider cyber as well. It's now part of, we think of this as a part of your design, and how do you do that? Yeah.
Really, really good point. We are out of time, so I thank you all for your deep knowledge. I know that you could all go very deep on all of this for a long time, so I appreciate you taking some time to share that with the audience here. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.